Well, well, well.
What did you say?
Pokemon! Gotta catch 'em all! Watch Ash catch him, start his journey, and become a Pokemon master. What's that? Can't get enough Pokemon? Pokemon Red and Blue are coming to the Game Boy so you too can catch 'em all!
Pokemon for Game Boy is here. With both packs you can catch 'em all.
Still not satisfied? Open packs, collect all the cards, and trade with friends.
Play with people who speak your language.
Pokemon! Promo cards! Cool, no. Meet new friends!
Join the Pokemon Trading Card Game League. Have fun, practice your game, and earn cool prizes. Join the game!
This is what it used to be. This craze of trying to catch them all or collect all the cards and watching the Saturday morning cartoons, chatting with your friends about how to get a certain Pokemon, or playground rumors of a Pokemon called Mew being under a truck. Now, it's grown-ass men in their 30s scalping cards in your local Target and game leakers on Twitter, data mining or somehow hacking into servers and releasing news about future Pokemon games that aren't even out yet. For those in the younger crowd, you've probably been exposed to all this since you found out what Pokemon was, and hell, you might not even care, and I envy you for that. But for the older crowd that's either been with Pokemon since the beginning or pretty early on, it wasn't always like that. To those that have seen the true version of Pokemon, I ask, when did Pokemon change? Let's take a trip back to the past. In the early 90s, Pokemon had its trials and tribulations at the beginning. Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokemon, wanted to create a game about his love and passion of collecting bugs as a kid, which earned him the nickname Dr. Bug. This idea had some pushback, seeing as the Game Boy wasn't selling as well, and the execs were confused at the concept. However, thought it was impressive enough to explore the idea. With guidance from Shigeru Miyamoto, the man behind some of the greatest games of all time, Mario, Donkey Kong, and The Legend of Zelda, saw the potential and decided to mentor the project with Tajiri. I swear, Miyamoto is... Although Pokemon took 6 years to develop and almost bankrupted Gamefreak, the final product of Pocket Monsters debuted in Japan in 1996, launching this global phenomenon, which would become the highest grossing media franchise in the world. Yeah, even higher than Disney.
Let's just laugh at him now.
Now, I love me some cartoons. You got SpongeBob, Chowder, my fave, Code Lyoko. My previous video is in the iCard. There's Naruto and Yu-Gi-Oh! But there was a little something different, something unique about Pokemon. The anime started April 1st, 1997. Man, what a great day. Sorry, King of Games, this isn't an April Fool's, you were beaten to the punch. The anime starts with Ash Ketchum, the protagonist that would reign for about 20 or so years. Don't know how this kid hasn't aged at all, fucking Edward Cullen over here. Ash Ketchum sets out from his hometown of Palatown in the Kanto region with his trusty partner Pikachu, which, if you watched enough Pokemon content, in the movie Pokemon Forever, we find out through means of time travel by the Pokemon Celebi that Ash met Professor Oak when he was a child and sees Ash with Pikachu. So does this mean Ash was always meant to have Pikachu because of Oak, or was it truly because Ash was late that there weren't any Pokemon left besides Pikachu? Man, my head hurts. Well, ignoring that clusterfuck of information, throughout the Kanto region, Ash would catch Pokemon, face off against the ever-so-pesky Team Rocket, and defeat gym leaders, collecting badges which serve as the tickets to entering the Indigo League and fighting other trainers vying for the title of Kanto champion. Of course, Ash falls short towards the very end, thus ending his chance of becoming champion in the Kanto region. But you know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Ash would go on several more adventures, one of which, Pokemon Adventures in the Orange Islands, that never had any kind of game appearance and, being only anime canon, showed Ash going through the islands collecting badges, and not only competing in, but winning the Orange League trophy, essentially being his first W. Okay, Ash, you got some aura to you now. Welp, He won. I guess that's it. Thanks for watching the video. Damn, can you wait? We still got more! This season of the show was pretty much more of a bridge to Pokemon The Johto Journeys, which released on TV October 14th, 2000 in North America, and would coincide with the release of the main series games, Pokemon Gold and Silver, which released a day later on October 15th, 2000. Like I said before, Ash went on several journeys throughout the various regions which would come out alongside the main series games. Pokemon would tend to not only have various seasons throughout the show, but various seasons per region, essentially stretching out the time Ash was traveling through whatever region, but was also time in between releases of the main series games. Most of us who grew up watching TV know how TV works. A season would air, it would end, and then it would go on hiatus until the next season starts up. But maybe Pokemon wouldn't have been so successful if they didn't keep pumping out content like Pokemon The Indigo League.
I wanna be the very best.
Pokemon Adventures in the Orange Islands.
So you wanna be a master of Pokemon? Do you have the skills to be number one? I wanna take
Pokemon The Johto Journeys.
It's a whole new world we live in. Pokemon Jojo.
Pokemon Johto League Champions.
Pokemon. Let's do it. I wanna be the very best.
Pokemon Master Quest.
No time to question my moves. I stick to the path that
Pokemon Advanced.
A kid from Pallet Town with a brand new world to see. I don't know what's
Pokemon Advanced Battle.
I'm unbeatable. Walking down this endless highway.
Pokemon Advanced Challenge.
Yeah, this dream will last forever. This dream will never die.
Pokemon Battle Frontier.
Pokemon. It's a battle, win or lose. It's the friends you make. It's the road you.
Pokemon Diamond and Pearl.
It's all about the challenges. It's a brand new game.
And so many more. These first several seasons are by no means bad, it's just a lot of content. And honestly, it's just a structure they chose to stick with. New game, meaning new region, equals new region and new adventure for Ash. But because of the length of time between game releases and how long the seasons aired for, the kids who experienced the first and second regions, being Kanto and Johto, were growing up and starting to grow out of their love of Pokemon. Not me though, twin, we've been in it! Along with the length of time going by, the original voice actress for Ash Ketchum, Veronica Taylor, didn't reprise her role as Ash according to Bulbapedia, as there were licensing issues with 4Kids, which was the company responsible for the first 8 seasons of the English dub of the anime. Now, this might not be a major change, but it was still a change that some may have noticed. I would say a major change for the anime was the art direction. Around 2002, the anime leaned away from using cells, aka hand painting scenes, and went with digital coloring. And like, bitch, why? This shit is so gas! Look at it! Funnily enough, OLM Inc., the animation studio behind the movies, held on to using cells up until Pokemon The Rise of Darkrai, which is the first movie where they used digital colors instead. And that's not to say the digital coloring of the anime and movies didn't look crisp in a way, it's more so it lost its charm. And not only did the art direction change for the anime, the art style became more cutesy and just uninteresting. Personally, I stopped watching the anime around the end of the black and white seasons and the start of X and Y, as I was at the end of middle school and cared more about just playing the games and hanging out with my friends instead. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm glad I stopped, cause it just got worse. After the X and Y storyline of the show and seeing the same old Ash we've known, came this shit. Yeah, big yikes. And I know there's gonna be those people that say, it's not bad, it's a nice change from the Ash they've always used. But that is where I draw the line.
Excuse me, I'm fucking out of here right now.
It's funny because Ash Ketchum has been the protagonist for the Pokemon anime since the beginning, and I don't know production-wise or story-wise why, but they decided to end Ash's journey with an 11-episode epilogue, Pokemon Aim to be a Pokemon Master. I guess it's because he became world champion, so he's gone. And being the mega corporation that Pokemon is, they're continuing the anime with these guys.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Rest in peace, Ash Ketchum. I don't think you caught them all, but hey, at least you got some titles under your belt. So I ask you again, when did Pokemon change? Was it with something as simple as the digital coloring, or something more drastic like the art style? Well, let's talk about the games. The games actually allow you to be a Pokemon trainer and catch them all. Not only do you get to catch them all, but you can explore the region, battle trainers, collect the gym badges, and become champion. The first games to hit shelves were Pokemon Red and Green in Japan, while internationally, Pokemon Red and Blue came out, with Pokemon Yellow releasing a year or two later for Japan and the rest of the world. And it was a much more simpler time. You couldn't have asked for more. This shit had kids going crazy. I mean, look at this, or even...
I'll put out my Dragonair, even though it has 60 damage on it. Oh boy. And now it has 3 energy on it. Slam attack.
These games were the start of it all. With the aforementioned core values, Pokemon would spring forth with new titles every few years like Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, Pokemon Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald, Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, Pokemon Black and White, and Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. The first 5 generations of the game had some insanely good moments, astonishing visuals, especially for the consoles they were on, great music, great character designs, great sprites, and other great things like the lore of the regions and the Pokemon within them, or even exploring Mount Silver and finding the protagonist of Red and Blue at the top and battling him, or walking into a random house and finding the champion of Sinnoh and we're dead. Now, let me just take a moment because I can feel my blood pressure fucking skyrocketing with what's coming next. Yeah, it's these games, X and Y on the 3DS. It's very conflicting for me because as the stupid-ass Poketard I was hyped for Mega Evolution. And hold off on those keyboard warrior fingers you got before you say anything in the comments. Yes, Mega Evolution was cool, especially when earlier trailers dropped and people thought, oh shit, is this like a 3rd or 4th evolution for a certain Pokemon? I was excited, and so was the rest of the world. New graphics, you can play the games in 3D, fuck that shit though. And there was just this awe of something new in Pokemon, it was like holy shit. But therein lay the problem. After X and Y, the remakes of Sapphire and Ruby, Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby released a few years later, which these games were fucking fantastic. You can catch a shit ton of legendary Pokemon, and it gave us content from Pokemon Emerald with new content as well in a post-game story. Possibly the best games Gamefreak has made to this day. I will die on that hill. The problem with Mega Evolution was that it was a gimmick. We didn't know this at the time until 2016, when Pokemon Sun and Moon would release. Not only did they get rid of an aspect of the core of Pokemon where you go to gyms and get badges, they added what would now be gimmicks in the main series Pokemon games. For the Alola region, being based off of Hawaii, they swapped out gyms for the Island Challenge, where you beat a challenge, you would be rewarded with a Z crystal, and these crystals would allow you to use special moves. I'm not going to linger on the Sun and Moon era, good games to a degree, but the charm was fading, and fast. Fast forward to Sword and Shield, the first mainline games on a home console, being the Nintendo Switch, thankfully brought back the gym challenge, but the gimmicks were still there. This time, Dynamaxing. Pokemon would get big as fuck, and some having special forms of this called Gigantamaxing. If only you could see my face right now. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet released on the Switch as well, being the first open world Pokemon game, and guess what? they still stuck with the gimmicks. It was called terastallizing, essentially changing the Pokemon's type when it's in this form. Also, not to mention, in Scarlet and Violet, you couldn't really go in many buildings, and if you did, it was just a pop-up menu for a shop. And that was just sad. You could no longer explore the insides of the buildings in the cities and towns, just menus. I guess to play devil's advocate, the game released on Switch 1, and it's not as powerful as the Switch 2. So, being that these games were a true open world game, they probably had to cut content out in the pursuit of saving resources. And to no one's fault but their own, Gamefreak, under the demands of, I assume, the Pokemon Company, likes to pump out games fast, so although they put out DLC for Sword and Shield, who knows how much time they were really developing Scarlet and Violet. And I mean, all you gotta do is pull up videos from the launch or early days of Scarlet and Violet before it was patched, and see the absolute game-breaking glitches that were happening. Like, you thought Missing No was bad? Nah, that shit was bad. Pokemon has had such a storied history up until now, so much success because Pokemon really truly is cool, especially when you have friends to share it with. A lot of that success nowadays is sadly because of people scalping multiple copies of games and selling them for higher prices, and mindless fans who can't see that Pokemon really has changed. It's not that same watercolor, beautiful anime or the fun and exciting pixel art game with sprites that we've known and loved. At this point, it seems like the Pokemon Company doesn't even care if we care how the games come out. All they have to do is make a game, slap the name Pokemon on it, and they know it'll sell because the name alone sells. But when did Pokemon change? Was it the licensing issues in the studio? Was it the change in art style? Was it the loss of pixel art and moving to 3D? The added gimmicks that just get in the way of the core values of Pokemon? Or was it the greed of a company who doesn't care what they put out and just sees money? In regards to the games, if you're an older fan like myself and love the older style of the games, fans have been making ROM hacks or their own fan projects that, in some instances, feel way better than the now $80 price tag games that are being put out. For example, Pokemon Gamma Emerald is an HD 2D fan game and it looks fucking fantastic. This is what Pokemon should have moved towards, keeping the classic pixel art while revamping animations and the world that we play in. As much as I love Pokemon and will hopelessly wait for games like a Black and White remake, I'm not unaware of its flaws. Pokemon has changed, and maybe one day, it'll find its way again.